Control and Health Promotion Alliance brings together about 23 organizations, and therefore we are talking for all those organizations from all over the country, and we hope whatever we are going to say will be considered, because we are talking also about the health of Kenyans. So my name is Joel Shunza Gitali. I'm the chairman. So the rest will also introduce themselves and say their name.
Good evening, Chair. My name is Robert Mwangi. I am a cancer survivor and a victim of tobacco. I advocate against tobacco use because of being a victim and going through so much pain. I tell people the pain I went through is pain I wouldn't want even my biggest enemy to go through. I campaign against tobacco, and I would want this committee to put very tough control laws on tobacco products because of the effects on matters of health. I am also an addiction counselor. Therefore, professionally, I know what tobacco does to our youth. Without this gadget that I am using, I cannot talk because I don't have a voice, which was removed because of tobacco use. I smoked cigarettes for 25 years, and they are the ones which caused my throat cancer. I may not be able to talk without this gadget, which is an expensive gadget. It costs over 100,000, so you can imagine the kind of damage, the kind of cost these tobacco products do to our people. In the name of the companies are paying taxes, but the government ends up spending a lot of money treating patients. So sometimes I sit down and think we would rather do without those taxes, because we spend more than 3 times the taxes these manufacturers pay to our government. I am advocating because of our youth. These companies target the youth because, like me, I started smoking cigarettes when I was 14. So you can imagine, if I can be targeted at 14 years, I am now 69 years. That means if I had not stopped because of the cancer, it means I would have smoked for 55 years. So my main aim is to ask this committee to put very tough laws on all tobacco products because of the health consequences. Let me try to talk without this machine.
So like, where is the machine?
Come again.
So the machine is a gadget you put on your throat.
It amplifies. It's a gadget that I have to put here so that it can produce the voice.
Wow.
But without it, I cannot.
Okay.
So many Kenyans are suffering silently. That is why I advocate for tough measures to be put on tobacco products.
you.
Okay, to introduce myself, I'm Tommy John, a member of Kenya Tobacco Control Alliance. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Lina Mugata, a member of Kenya Tobacco Control Alliance. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll do the presentation. And initially, the chair asked the initial team to take a deep breath and do the presentation while composed. I will also request the team to take a deep breath. And today is a very key and a very memorable day to us as tobacco control advocates. One, it's World No Tobacco Day. We've also just had a cancer survival festival, and meeting with him was also part of one of the key moments for us. And he said, no, I have to appear before the committee, and we felt it is good to have him. So moving to what is before us today, I'll start with what I call numbers that matter. And for those who are able to see the screen, you'll see that last year when we appeared before the committee, we had challenges on proving the facts. And I'm happy that today we have facts, not from outside Kenya, but within Kenya. And number one fact is in every 5 cancer deaths, 1 is attributed to tobacco use. And these days we talk of tobacco and nicotine use because of the novel products in the country. The second one is 7.3% of youths between 15 to 24 years have used tobacco products. And when you do smoke, it only takes 2 or 3 sticks before you become an addict to the same. Number 3, in a study done in 2021 on the cost of tobacco industry to Kenyan economy, and by tobacco industry, we refer to the whole supply chain from the farmer to the final processed product, also inclusive of the imported products, the pushers, and all those. So a total of around $544 to $756 million came in as a contribution, but at what cost? So Kenya, in return, used 396 million for treatment, 146 to 360 million production loss. And when you talk about production loss, this refers to the people that died due to use of tobacco. We have our friend here. If you read, because he has also done a book, if you read and you're able to check his history, background, you realize that there's a number of years that he spent in hospital, and that is part of what we call production loss, the cost of treating addicts and such. The fourth one is that for every dollar earned from tobacco, we lose 2 to 3. So for basic mathematics, when you earn 1 and use 2 to 3 to mitigate that, it means you are working at a negative or at a loss. Moving forward, in terms of our proposal, so we want an enhanced tobacco tax rates, and by that we refer to uniform tax structure. This has been approved to be a very good tax structure in the form of a win-win situation, whereby we are able to encourage cessation and reduce induction of new smokers, and at the same time realize more revenue to the government. The next one is increased excise tax, so just to discourage tobacco consumption, reduce associated health risks, and healthcare costs to new users. The third one is the rates on liquid nicotine. It is very minimal. There is already a proposal to increase it, but we still feel that might not equate to a substantial amount in terms of revenue collected. The fourth one is on the 4th schedule, goods subject to eco levy, based on the novel tobacco products, which are electronic cigarettes, nicotine and have nicotine delivery devices, nicotine storage tanks, the refillables and such. So there is already an existing study on the effect that these products have on the environment. And one of the thinking behind the introduction of eco-levy is to have a clean and a better environment for us all. So in terms of not just proposing an increase, we are also telling the government, the committee, that the bill, if it incorporates these specific products, then ultimately the tax base and the number of products that are to be taxed would increase, and therefore we'll have more revenue. Number 5 is on inflation adjustment, and the argument is put in our proposal as well, that we feel for these goods that are subject to sin, or the one that we call sin tax, subject to excise duty, there should be a defined, and the way it was done before the review last year, that we go back, but specifically for this category of goods. And then the last one, which is number 6, on the proposal to have a new section, that there should be a 20% tax rates for all other tobacco products. So we understand that this year, unlike last year, at least, there is a mention of review, of a proposal to review tobacco products, but we feel there are some other products that should be also reviewed upwards. And justification, so one, the uniform taxation model is easier to enforce. Less administrative costs are used by our revenue agency. There is a reduced illicit trade in the same. There is increased revenue when it comes to DRM. There is also environmental degradation will reduce. There is also curbing the ease of substitution. So if we selectively increase taxes of tobacco products, this will mean that these users will easily switch from one product to the other. So we feel that the uniform tax model will be able to solve such problems, so that we don't solve problem A and then we end up in problem B. The last one is on equity. Our current tiered system is discriminatory, and by this we refer to tobacco being a very unique product. So for those who have been able to see the smoker's body in most of our health institutions and other public institutions, you realize that there are only 2 human body parts that are not affected by tobacco, and that's your hair and your nail. And we cannot speak with certainty, but these 2 body parts are dead cells. They are deposits of dead cells. So when we talk about having categories of tobacco,
I think I disagree with you.
Mm-hmm.
The tobacco pouches, you feel it on your nails.
Out of experience, Chair.
I am neither accepting nor denying.
Thank you, Chair, for that. And it's good that you are knowledgeable on that. And I hope the whole committee as well can be able to understand
You
the
meant
discussion.
experienced.
No, knowledgeable.
Okay, thank you. So when you talk about equity, it means that when we categorize the tobacco products on filtered, the unfiltered, it means that it is better for one to for different levels of individual to consume these based on their income. But when it comes to effect, the treatment costs for a throat cancer, it is the same whether you've consumed a high-end product of tobacco and nicotine or a low-end tobacco. The man hours used in hospital by our doctors, nurses, and such is still the same, whatever product you consume of tobacco and nicotine. And based on that, we feel that uniform tied tax system is good for us. So just to check on the image on the right, you realize that the 5 popular brands responsible for plastic pollution, amongst them is tobacco. And we feel that the eco levy was well thought, and these products, the nicotine and tobacco, new generation tobacco products should be included in that. So the rest of our submission, and in terms of the presentation, these are now studies that I've done to justify that if we have increase in taxes, then there will be a great response from our public. One, female smokers, and currently, as you know, we have the novel tobacco products, which are flavored. And the main target is the youth and the women in terms of pushing these products. Because if I smoke and I smell strawberry, you won't tell that I've smoked or I've used the nicotine pouches or such. The other response is from the youth. We know that their purchasing power is low, and by you increasing the cost of these products, then it means automatically they will shy away from procuring such. The other one is in terms of country specific. We've had high income countries, when there is a change in terms of tax rates by around 10%, there is a minimal change. But in developing countries, when we have at least 10% increment in terms of taxes, there is a positive response in terms of those who don't now start consuming tobacco and nicotine products. So we also have socioeconomic status and regional responses to tobacco taxation. So African countries, because of low purchasing power, are also positively responding to tax increment with regard to tobacco consumption. There is a question that usually comes up on illicit cigarette consumption, and our argument to this, based on the studies that have been done and they are as projected there, we argue that illicit trade is mostly spurred when based on, it is an administrative issue and an enforcement issue. So going beyond that, we appreciate that the Kenya Revenue Authority has had a very good case and precedent in terms of the track and trace systems that have been put in place. So we should not worry when it comes to illicit trade. The enforcement, if there need be, it should be improved. The other issue would come in terms of porous borders and probably the issue of our neighbors. So if such cases of enforcement are improved, then we'll be safe. So still a case on illicit cigarette consumption. So low and middle income countries are less capable of addressing illicit tobacco trade than high income countries, which is true, but we believe we are up to the task. So the other issue is on challenges of new generation product. And when we talk about this, there is so much that has been going in terms of the benefits that come with novel products. But the main case is they are as harmful, if not more, as the traditional tobacco products that we are used to, or with the one that we understand and are traded more in the market. So I'd just like to take you through some of the iterations that we've been able to do. This is in terms of cumulative tobacco-related deaths. So the upper line is without intervention. The lower line is with intervention. And we tried to iterate based on different tax rates intervention. So if we keep introducing substantial amount of taxes, because economic-wise, you either choose to absorb tax as a producer or pass it to the consumer. So if the amounts are substantial enough, then automatically we'll see a change in terms of tobacco-related deaths. Cigarette affordability, if you intervene with substantial tax amounts, then automatically the affordability will reduce. And the last one is on smoking prevalence. If we intervene with substantial tax, again, there will be a decrease in terms of tobacco prevalence. So the last one, just to probably take you to our submission and mention what we advocate for. So on clause 42, on the first schedule on the excise duty tax, we accept with amendment that the increase on the specific, the two categories of taxes, that we delete the current description of cigarettes with filters, hind liges, and soft cap cigarettes without filters, plain cigarettes, and substituting therefore the following: cigarettes containing tobacco or tobacco substitutes with corresponding rates of excise duty 4,100 per mile. Then we move to, still on clause 42, A1, we accept the same with amendment that the e-cigarettes and their delivery systems should also be subject to an upward tax review. So we appreciate that there is a review from 70 per mil to 100 per milliliter, but we request that there should be a substantial increase on the same. And then there should be also a consideration increasing by 20% tax rates for all other tobacco products outlined in the Excise Duty Act schedule, especially other manufactured tobacco and tobacco substitutes, electronic cigarettes, and other nicotine delivery devices and cartridges used in electronic cigarettes. That's our humble submission, and I would like to take it back to our chair. Yeah, thank you.
Chair, conclude.
Yeah, thank you so much. Just to say some few words, maybe before we call it a day, that we look at this, whatever we are presenting, very keenly, because some time back we have this experience whereby proposals made by the Finance Cabinet Secretary on taxation, tobacco products taxation, or rather nicotine, yeah, it was on nicotine. The proposal made was changed very badly. And also we have had the tobacco industry really pressurizing the Ministry of Health so that some changes are made, and then they have been talking about tax every other time, especially on those products they lie to us that are safer alternatives. So it's our prayer, because this is a proposal, that you will help us to ensure that this doesn't happen, because tobacco industry is known really to have its way when it wants to, and we wouldn't want to have other reports, as we have heard them before, concerning our policymakers, our legislators, and other people in papers internationally. And Kenya is a leader in the region, but we have been going down because of tobacco industry interference. So we pray that we focus on health and help our country, because when we even talk about taxation on tobacco and nicotine products, our focus should not be on revenue. It must be on public health, and a healthy citizenry is a healthy country. So we should focus on the long-term benefits that we are going to enjoy when people are healthy, instead of looking at short-term things that we are going to get revenue, we are going to get this, and then we cause a lot of problems to our people. We let our children consume these products that are termed as safer alternatives. So let us not spoil ourselves, kill our children, simply because we are talking about industrialization, as somebody says. How are we industrializing our country? By allowing our children to consume deadly products, or are we going to do this by doing the right thing? So there is even the Tobacco Control Act, which stipulates very well the interaction that is supposed to be there between public servants, the policymakers, and the tobacco industry.